My first case of the year started out as no case at all, or at least it seemed that way at the time. It was a hot September day, the kind of hot that makes your gum stick to the roof of your mouth. I had only been back to school for a week, and already I had a steady stream of clients looking for me to solve their problems. I was browsing through my files when she walked into my life. Her name was Shelley Valentine. She was a tall drink of water with red hair and sparkling blue eyes, the kind of gal that makes you weak in the knees.
Hi, your name is Alex, right?
I was speechless. Was she really here?
I've got a problem that needs to be fixed.
What is it?
I'm being bullied online.
I'll take the case. While my brain was saying, no way, my mouth had its own agenda.
That's awesome. Here, I printed out the details for you. Please give me a call if you manage to come up with something.
I think you mean when, sweetheart. I forgot what I was doing and said what I was supposed to be thinking.
What?
As soon as I hear something, I'll let you know. I promise.
Thanks, Alex. I really appreciate this, you know.
It's no biggie. It's what I do. And don't worry about a thing. These cases are usually pretty open and shut. She simply smiled, turned, and walked away. Little did I know that this case wasn't as open and shut as I'd like it to be. When I finally got home from school, I decided to take a look at her file. As I skimmed through it, I began to notice certain similarities between this case and others in my pile. Even the IM name that the person used was the same. Frenzy. Kind of an odd name, if you ask me. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a perfect fit. As I looked deeper into my case files, I could hardly believe my eyes. I noticed several people had posted comments on my website reporting that they had been cyberbullied by Frenzy and needed my help. I began to send out emails to anyone that would listen, and the deeper that I dove, the more that I learned. The hours quickly flew by until finally my eyes got so heavy that I could hardly keep them open. The first thing I noticed was that all of Frenzy's victims had replied to my emails. Some had even texted me with the information and screenshots of the attacks. This is bigger than I thought. It was time for me to hit the streets. I spent the rest of the day combing the playground for more information. I learned more and more with each new kid that I spoke to, all of which seemed to lead back to someone that I never expected to be mixed up in this case. Taylor James, our school's resident egghead, the one that even the teachers go to see about their classes. Though I'd never met him in person, I knew that I found him as soon as I walked through the doors of the lab. He reminded me of one of those characters that you see on TV, the ones that stick out like a sore thumb.
I've been expecting you, Mr. Wonder. I've heard a lot about you and wondered when we cross paths.
All good, I hope.
Depends on whose side you're on. Word on the playground is that you've been trying to find a certain cyberbully that goes by the name of Frenzy.
So, you know why I'm here then?
I'm afraid that I do.
He looked worried, like he had something to hide.
I have a confession to make. I'm afraid that I may be the cause of all this. I didn't do it on purpose. But it's all my fault. And I'm not exactly sure how to stop it before someone else gets hurt.
So why don't you tell me about it?
It all started with a simple problem that I was having in real life. It's not easy being me. Every day, no matter where I went, there was always someone out there ready to make fun of me or call me names. Be it the captain of the football team, the head cheerleader, or even the kid who was the president of the AV club. They all took their turns. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I cracked. Enough was enough. That's when I first created him.
You mean your Frenzy?
No, well, that's not exactly what I mean. I mean I created him. Here, let me show you.
As he continued to explain, he pulled up a file labeled Frenzy version 4. It was a computer program, something that he designed specifically to protect himself. But obviously, something had gone horribly wrong. Something that even a genius like Taylor had never seen coming. It managed to reprogram itself to become the perfect cyberbully. So how do we stop it then?
That's the thing. I'm not exactly sure how to stop him. I tried different ways to fix the problem with his code, but he keeps denying me access. Here, let's see what you make of all this.
I looked through the code, making it look like I fully understood it. I stopped when I found a fracture in its programming. The numbers and the letters were scrambled. I was certain that's what Taylor wanted me to see.
You see it, don't you?
Yeah, I do. But what is it?
I'm not exactly sure, but watch this.
He said, highlighting it and then trying to delete it. Suddenly, without warning, an eerie green image appeared on the screen. It was Frenzy. It had finally made its appearance.
I don't think so, Taylor. You know better than that. This must be the famous Mr. Alex Wonder. I was wondering when you'd show up.
So, I take it you're Frenzy?
Wow, you really are a smart one, aren't you? So, do you think you can beat me that easily? Delete doesn't work. Neither does pulling the plug, so don't bother. Oh yeah, and viruses. Well, what can I say? I chew them up and spit them out like yesterday's news.
I wanted to see if Frenzy could roll with the punches as easily as it threw him. Yeah, well, I was kind of expecting something a bit more impressive, if you know what I mean.
Impressive? Not impressive. I'm as impressive as they come.
Well, I don't know. You seem a bit on the ordinary side, if you ask me. Taylor, I don't think it's worth wasting my time on something this simple. Call me if something important comes up. I hoped Frenzy would call me back, but to my surprise, it simply gave up.
Anyway, nice meeting you. Too bad I can't hang around with you two geeks. But I have things to do and people to bully. I'll tell Shelley that you said hi. Ta-ta for now, losers.
As it flashed off the screen, I couldn't help but think to myself that this thing was a little too long-winded. It needed to be deleted before it got to Shelley. Oh no, Shelley, I've got to warn her before it's too late. I need you to track her down for me, Taylor. ASAP.
Will do, Mr. Wonder.
Taylor turned back to his computer, and in no time he was inside, tracking her down in 5 seconds flat, and there was no time to waste. She was in trouble. As I began to walk out the door, Taylor grabbed me by the arm and looked me in the eyes.
You've got to stop him. I'll keep him busy for as long as I can.
As soon as he finished, I rushed out the door. All I could think of was Shelley. How was I going to stop Frenzy? There had to be a way. As I thought about it more and more, something began to bother me. He kept calling it him. Not it or that, but him. Did Taylor really think of his creation as being alive? Was there something inside its program that gave it feelings? If there was, then maybe that was our way in. I was starting to feel hopeful until I spotted Shelley. It was clear that I was too late. Frenzy had been here before me. Taylor's delay tactics had failed. She sat in the center of the cafeteria, all alone, staring down into her computer screen, with tears rolling down her cheek. As I got closer, I could see more tears in her eyes. My heart fell. I cleared my throat, hoping to get her attention. When she realized that it was me, she jumped into my arms and squeezed me so tight that I almost swallowed my gum.
Please tell me you know who he is. I can't take this anymore.
I'm afraid that I do. So I began to tell about all the kids I had spoken to, about Frenzy, about Taylor James, and about the part he played in the entire thing. Most importantly, I told her that I knew how to defeat Frenzy, but it would take everyone's help to get it done right. At the end of it all, she looked exhausted, as though she'd heard too much or eaten way too much of the cook's special. Are you all right?
Of course. Why wouldn't I be? Let's do this.
I had to give her credit. She had brains and courage to go with the good looks. She even managed a smile for me. So we sat together in the cafeteria and began to spin our web, carefully plotting the fall of Frenzy.
Do you really think it's gonna work?
Without a doubt, I said, knowing full well that my plan was going to work. We've got to make some calls if it's going to work. I had a job to finish, and to do it, I needed as much help as I could get. Hi, Taylor. I've got a little project that you might be interested in. But he wasn't the only one that we were going to need. There were others, lots of them. Moments later, our plan was in motion. Student after student joined the cyber army I was recruiting. I just had to lure Frenzy out into the open for our plan to work. I glanced over at Shelley to see how she was holding up. Her part was the most crucial to the plan, considering that she had decided to make herself the bait. Ready?
Ready.
She looked determined and brave. I was proud of her, but worried. We both turned to the screen and waited. Within moments of her logging in, it was on her. Now was the time for Taylor and me to spring our little trap. it was just an ordinary firewall. Or was it?
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Seriously, guys, do you think that a firewall is going to keep me quiet? You must be kidding. And here I thought you were smart, Alex.
The three of us looked at each other. We knew it was time to put an end to this clown. As I reached down and hit the button, a message went out to every kid who was ever bullied by Frenzy, with an attachment that patched them directly to the firewall program.
Hi, Frenzy. Bet you never thought you'd see me again so soon, did ya?
What, no witty comment?
Or are we a little slow processing vague words today?
Then Stephen, Andrew, Carrie, Janie, Paul, Philip, Mary, and last but not least, Drew appeared on the screen.
You really think this band of misfits are going to help you when they can't even help themselves?
But there wasn't a doubt in my mind that they could stop him, so I simply smiled back at it. It had no way to protect itself against our cyber attacks. The firewall we used, we kept him trapped like a fish in a barrel. Our plan was working. By acting together, we had torn away at its capacity until As I watched the words, system, error, flash across the screen in red, I knew that it was finally over.
Is everything okay, Alex?
Let's get out of here.
Where to, Mr. Wonder?
Somewhere wonderful, my good friend. Somewhere wonderful. Before we knew it, we had arrived at our destination. I could already smell the sweetness that was the soda-rama.
This is what dreams are made of.
As we quickly approached the counter where Mr. Nickerson always stood, I had one thing on my mind, and one thing only.
Alex, you want your usual?
Mr. Nickerson was one of my favorite people in the entire world. Next to my mom and dad, that is. Of course, and could you bring my friends some of your world-famous number 7 milkshakes?
For you, Alex, anything at all,
he said, handing me a pack of bubbly chew. Suddenly, I felt something tugging on the back of my shirt, so I spun around on my stool and came face to face with the biggest kid I'd ever seen.
I need your help with something, Mr. Wonder. I can't talk here, but I'll contact you soon.
This really bothered me. My number 1 rule is that if someone 10 times your size comes up to you asking for your help, then it must be trouble, especially since he left so fast. I turned to my friends and smiled. So what do you say, guys? Want to help a friend out? And that's how it all started. Shelley, Taylor, and me. The best sidekicks a cyber detective could ask for. And I knew that this was the beginning of a beautiful partnership.